The first game from developer Local Thunk, Balatro is a poker-inspired deck builder, all about creating powerful synergies and turning them into colossal high scores. Across its Steam Next Fest demo and an early review key, I've put around 12 solid hours into the game, and I expect to see that become triple digits before next January. Although we're only 50 days into this new year, I'm confident in saying that Balatro will be my favourite game of 2024. A shock considering that just over a week ago, it's a title I never would have touched. It's not just an incredibly polished release that's kept me engaged for hours, but it's also one that has completely changed my worldview. Balatro has made me a fan of roguelikes, and if you've been scared of getting into the genre, it might do the same for you, especially at its reasonable asking price. To note, this key was gifted by the publishers of Playstack, though I'm likely to be buying extra copies of Balatro for birthday gifts. Roguelikes are an interesting genre because it's not an aesthetic descriptor like fighting, racing, or horror, but instead prescribes mechanics all these games have in common, rooted in the Unix dungeon crawler Rogue. The biggest is permadeath, that any items or upgrades gained during a run are lost after failure, while maps and item locations the next time are completely randomized due to procedural generation. A benefit of this design is in how it values gained knowledge. Anything you learned in a failed run can be applied to a new and potentially successful one. But a lack of extrinsic permanent progress has scared off some would-be fans of the genre, myself included. Roguelikes have a learning curve to overcome, but no in-game lasting progress can leave players feeling as if they're caught on a treadmill. And unlike arcade-style games that are immediately playable, roguelikes often require the same time investment as a fully fledged RPG. It's easy then to empathize with someone frustrated at losing hours of progress late into a potentially successful run. Those who do manage to finish a roguelike might not even have the interest to play again, and so miss out on new possibilities. All of this is to say then that Balatro managed to clear the usual roguelike hurdles without softening its edges, and got me to appreciate what these games do best. There is a learning curve, but any initial hurdles are cleared in the first few minutes. This is likely because the game blends roguelikes with something I was familiar with. Poker. Utilizing a standard deck of 52, you don't play against an enemy opponent in Balatro, but instead try to make the most profitable poker hand to clear a high score. Each hand is graded by difficulty, with high cards and pairs yielding lower payouts than flushes or full houses. You have multiple hands to fill that quota, and discards that allow you to burn and deal in up to 5 brand new cards at a time. A benefit of this setup is that it's easy to explain, avoiding the abstract numbers or fantasy mechanics of other roguelikes. Although poker terminology like blinds and antes are frequent, they can be thought of in simpler arcade terms like rounds and levels. Balatro then gives you simple instructions, a clear goal, and lets you figure out the rest. The most immediate and captivating aspect of Balatro is its look and sound. Adopting something of a haunted video poker appearance, CRT scan lines and video distortion replicate the look of a damaged PC solitaire. If the look isn't to your taste, those flaws and screen shake can be dialed in the options menus. Meanwhile, the soundtrack seamlessly complements the mood, offering elevator jazz with a haunted twist, and it's something I can and have listened to for hours without tiring. It teases the game's central conceit, a game you recognize with an unexpected twist. To note, Balatro was the work of a single artist, and that includes illustrations for all the fascinating cards that appear once you've beaten your first blind. The mayhem begins with the introduction of 150 unique jokers and their extensive modifiers. There are skull multipliers that can be influenced by the number of diamonds in a hand or face cards played, but there's also jokers that generate cash or disable in-game mechanics. Part of Balatro's fun is learning what these new joker cards can do, how they synergize, and factoring them into a successful run. This is the superpowered aspect that roguelikes excel at, that in the intermingling of simple multipliers you get explosive results. Something that in long-form RPGs can't be easily accounted for, but works perfectly in a short-form setup Balatro exists in. Games of Balatro can be played fast and the results are immediate. There's the one to try and clear a blind in a single hand, using discards to prune unwanted cards until full houses, straights or flushes reveal themselves. There's no waiting around to see whether specific synergies will pay off, because new cards and tweets happen in a matter of seconds. You can sit and do the math, as is the case with other roguelikes, but much of the time you're going purely by vibes. When those gut checks pay off, like pouncing on a great flush of cards, you feel unstoppable. Balatro then offers a wealth of strategic possibilities at a base level, but there are even more mechanics to ensure that no two games could possibly be the same. There are arcanas that modify the deck, astral cards that enhance the strength of specific poker hands, booster packs that add more of the same ranks and suites to a deck, and vouchers that change the game rules, from the number of hands you can play or prices in the shop between rounds. That shop is where you'll spend hard-earned cash, with more awarded during a blind the less hands you make. Of course, you can decide to skip blinds altogether to unlock some fabulous bonuses. Although that's a lot to chew through, Balatro never makes this information difficult to pass. At any time, you can hover over cards for tooltips on what they do, written in plain English, routing superpowers in pure numbers, ranks or suites. What's great is that it doesn't come at the cost of learning. What I appreciate most about Balatro over my playtime is how much knowledge I began to accrue on the game, and how it's held between runs. Initially, it was picking up the rules of poker and understanding how I should place my cards. Now I have a genuine excitement when my favourite jokers appear in a run, and anticipate synergies. Things that, before Balatro, I never would have considered in other roguelikes. When that applied knowledge or even successful improvisation plays off, it's given me feelings of joy unlike any other game, and Balatro manages that through subtle sound cues, visual flourishes, and the primal ecstasy of numbers get ginormous. Similar to 2021's Vampire Survivors, it's a profound demonstration that you don't need AAA production values to create immense spectacle. All the while, Balatro keeps raising the stakes quite literally as your runs go on. Each ante is capped off by a boss blind that adds new restrictions, such as only being able to play one kind of hand or losing cash as cards are played. Even the most foolproof setups can be undermined by simple rule changes. It never feels unnecessarily cruel like some strength checks in games, and perhaps because of Balatro's incredible pacing, you don't feel frustrated getting busted back to your starting deck of 52. It's an invitation to take what you've learnt and go again. Before I set off to write about how Balatro made me appreciate roguelikes, I wanted to get a better understanding of a genre I knew little about, and how this release fit into it. To that end, I'd like to thank those who contributed with their thoughts. Chariot Rider, R Beef, Tujo, Harry from Video Games Are Bad, Sputnik34, and Kevin from Pixellit. It became clear from them that Balatro, while maybe not the perfect onboarding tool, is captivating from its initial hook. More interesting was that everyone had an interesting story to tell after playing its demo. There was the miracle run where the synergy between only two cards got them their first win after 11 hours of play. There was ecstasy in a pair of trousers that kept accruing power the more pairs were played. The boss that cost an entire suite of tremendous jokers, leaving them defeated but eager to go again. That one game where they discovered a loophole in duplicating jokers that created an infinite money hack. All by design, of course. I've also found myself falling into watching streamers like Northern Lion demo their Balatro runs online, watching epic stories unfold through nothing but playing cards. Through all these combined hours of play, I've never seen moments like these in my own runs, and the fact that they're possible makes me all the more excited to dig into Balatro further. The benefit is that I can do so at my own pace, and I still get amazing payouts even if I only put in a few minutes of play. This is ultimately what made Balatro the game that got me over the genre hurdle. It didn't take multiple runs for the potential and excitement of colossal multipliers to show itself. It happened within a matter of getting my first Joker. Now that I understand the sheer joy that comes out of game-breaking synergies, I'm more likely to invest the time in meatier challenges. Roguelike isn't a single aesthetic, but a mechanical toolset, complementing everything from third-person shooters like Returnal to strategy games like Into the Breach. While I can't expect every roguelike I'll play after this one to be as successful in balancing fun mechanics and clear instruction, I'm far less scared about delving into randomly generated dungeons. If and when I get bored of poker, I can take the experience gained in Balatro and venture into other genres. For now, I still have the itch to open up its executable, complete my card collection, and try for another successful run. Using a simple concept, intuitive design, and robust theme as a hook for greater roguelike potential, Balatro is an ace in the hole, and easily one of 2024's most impressive releases. The lesson to be learned for all publishers and developers is that if you want to create engaging and lasting experiences, sometimes all you need is as simple as a deck of 52 playing cards.